gone. But we had, unless there's something else we want to talk about, we were last week off the air. I mentioned something real quick, and it led to kind of a big discussion about the two of us. We're like, we need to bring this to our boys, to our fans. We're gonna bring this out to the world.
Bring it out to the yeah. I hope I got very well. You started it.
Yeah, it's a big topic. It sort of transcends Germany and the United States. I guess it's related to both, I would say. But
well, I mean, it is really
topic.
it's more of an America issue, I would say.
Yeah. On that, Harry Kane was interviewed by Kicker today, talked about the difference between England and Germany, and Thomas Tuchel talked about the difference between England and Germany. So there are differences, but it's pretty minute when it comes to Europe. I think Harry Kane mentioned the Bundesliga, you have a little bit more space to do your stuff. Where in England, they're on top of your feet a little more. He's pretty much saying England's a little faster, a little more physical. That's what we hear. That's what we say. It seems to be, that's not a super surprising thing to hear, right? However, what we're trying to get into is Miles Robinson made his decision last week. He's a 26-year-old U.S. center back, starts for our national team, out of contract, 26. You're not an 18, but you're not over the hill yet. So you're entering your prime years. Free agent. And I, like everybody else, was assuming he was going to make his way to Europe. There was rumors about him being interested by some German clubs, and I think he was strongly linked to PSV. But what we saw is he signed with MLS. He signed a DP contract to go play at FC Cincinnati. So he stayed in MLS. And what did I say? I think afterwards I'm just like, I mentioned on Twitter, because it was a debate, and it brought up the fact that Landon Donovan wanted Christian Pulisic to come back home. Remember, before he signed for AC Milan, he got a little heat for that. And it had shades of that. So on Twitter, people are talking like they do. And I mentioned that, once upon a time, we were very precious with every player we had. But now we're in an environment with a lot of players, and I wish Miles Robinson the best and to go off and have fun in MLS. But I want my national team players to be playing in Europe. I want all our national team players to be elite, best of the best, like just the mentality. And you had some umbrage with that, and you thought that was a very sort of black and white mentality.
Yeah, I guess.
Am I characterizing that properly?
Somewhat. I mean, I think you use stronger language than that. You were like, everybody has to go to Europe. If you want to be
the best, you have to go to Europe.
Everybody has to go to Europe.
Right. That's what. And something along those lines. And that is my belief. But you had something,
you share that with a lot of US men's national team fans. This, the Klinsmann doctrine was that everybody has to go to Europe. And I just don't agree. I don't agree with that. I don't think everybody has to go to Europe. I think there is no example of somebody of Miles Robinson is not a child. He's how old is he? 26. So in the prime of his career, he's not a young player. This is it. Like, you're not going to see a lot of development. He's not, this is Miles Robinson is who he's going to be. So to say he has to do this, I don't think it's right. First of all, there's really no example of somebody of that age transferring out of MLS to a top 4 league successfully ever.
You mean recently? No, not recently.
I mean,
recently.
In recent,
that used to be the norm back in the day.
Like, who is an example who successfully did that? Like,
you mean ever?
Yeah, even ever. Like, who comes to mind?
Yeah, Clint Dempsey, Brian McBride.
Clint Dempsey. How old was Clint Dempsey? How old was Clint Dempsey?
Dempsey was on the younger side. He was like 23, 24, something like that. Brian McBride, though, was older.
But he went out of MLS to
who did?
So Clint Dempsey was born in '83. He
went to college. He went to Furman. Then he was drafted to the Reds when he was like 2021.
So he went to Fulham when he was 23. Okay.
So something like that.
All
But
right.
Brian
That was
McBride
in
was older.
2007. All right.
Brian McBride was older. A good story is Clint Mathis did in 05. He was 25, probably around the same time Miles Robinson is now. He let his contract run out, and he went to Europe and he trialed. I followed him very closely. He went to Rangers, he went to Leicester, he went to Hannover. Rangers offered him a contract. Leicester offered him a contract.
None of those are top 4.
Yeah, but Hannover was top flight club. He signed with Hannover, and he did very well. He hit right away. It's not Bayern München, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about it's like Clint Mathis had stuff that got in his way mentally later. Like he flamed out of Hannover, got into a fight with Iva Lenin, and then he grabbed his stuff and he went. He turned down Flyboy wanted him. He said, "No, I'm going back home." And he went and played for Real Salt Lake. And the words I used, and this relates to Miles Robinson, is Miles Robinson chose to be comfortable. That's what I said. It's like Europe is the fear. You don't know Europe. Here in the U.S., you're a star. I can be a big fish in a small pond and be comfortable, or I can go to Europe and really push myself as an athlete in my prime and do the thing. I'm just talking about the mentality of it all. I understand that transfer market is very different these days than it used to be. Like the stories I'm talking about, yeah, they don't happen much anymore. However, here's one. The funny, since we've talked about this last week, there's been 2 or 3.
Brian McBride, by the way, went to Wolfsburg for 1 year
when he was a kid. Yeah,
this was before MLS even existed,
right?
And then played most of his career for the
MLS,
Columbus Crew, and then went to Fulham after that. Yeah,
I mean, a big choice, and he was older. He was like 27, 28, 29 at that time, something like that. He was in his late 20s. He already had like 2 World Cups under his belt, maybe even just 1, but 2 at least. But anywho,
also a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. This is the old days. The transfer market is different. Where I know it's different, and for me, it's a little frustrating. I kind of miss the stories of like someone crushing it here in MLS for a few seasons and at 25, 26 as a free agent, go find a club and then just walk right into the club. That did happen. I just explained a few.
Yeah,
stories
it's
not Bayern München. I know. But
it's also not that many. There's not that many of those. This is not a common occurrence. It's not even about Americans versus other nationalities. There's not that. It doesn't happen that much that players of that age get transferred out of MLS to a top league. I'm not saying like Sweden or whatever. Like there's all kinds of leagues in Europe where you can play, and Kwame Watson-Sirabo, when he was done with New York City FC, went to Cyprus or whatever. That's also Europe, but like we got to talk about top 4,
right?
Something good, like going to
say Miles Robinson was linked to PSV, right?
Okay,
and PSV was only going to offer him $500,000 a year. Cincinnati offered him $1.6 million a year. He said Cincinnati's offered me 3 times the money.
No brainer.
Not to me. Not to me. To me, you go to PSV. Who cares? Who cares? Like
these are professional. Comfort. These are professional athletes. Like it's not supposed to matter
Miles
if
Robinson,
it's 3.
He has no value in Europe.
This is the thing. This is the thing that I completely disagree with. This idea of comfort versus discomfort being better. It's like this like gladiator idea. It's like you're only good, you're no good to me unless you can win me a World Cup. If you don't, then just we'll throw you to the wolves, and if you get eaten, then that's it. Then you weren't good enough anyway. And I think that irks me. I think it's not these people are humans. They're not just cards on a they're not just stats on like a FIFA card or whatever. You don't just take them from one place and put them somewhere else and they perform the exact same way. Every player, we see this in both directions. When people come to MLS, there's an adjustment period. They don't usually, sometimes, some people hit immediately, but a lot of the time there's a little bit of an adjustment. When we got, I'm always using NYCFC examples because I know them well, but I think this is a general truth. It's like when we got Thiago Martins, who was very good in Japan, he looked for a couple months like he had never played soccer before. And then eventually, he gets it together. There's just an adjustment period. And that goes in both directions. And also soccer as a game, it's not like track and field where Usain Bolt will run the 100 meters in a certain time anyway. He has a good days and bad days, but he can do a certain thing. In soccer, a lot of it is about, there's a couple of players, a handful of players. There's Messi, there's, Cristiano Ronaldo, the top people that will do well anywhere. For almost everybody else, the fit is an incredible component. Like, how do you fit in the system? Does the coach like you? Does the team value you? Do you feel? It's also not the same for everyone. Some people adapt more easily to other. I think this like one size fits all of, yeah, he should go to Europe, and if he doesn't, he's weak, and he shouldn't play in the national team. I think I don't agree with it. I don't agree that. I think it's sort of, and if I want to expand on my dislike of that, it's this idea of like people overly focusing on what players are not versus what they are. Like, this is something like Mesut Özil is always a good example, where who's like one of the most beautiful players of his generation, helped Germany win a World Cup, played great for Arsenal for many years, and like constant, like people talking about his body language, he wasn't hustling, all of this. It's like, why not appreciate people for what they are instead of harping on what they are not, or what they should be doing, or what, how they should live their life. He should accept a third of the salary that he's offered to be uncomfortable. Like, to what end?
Well, I mean, I have a lot to say about all that, but like,
all right, let's hear it.
Athletes, right? Our prime athletes that we pay for have to have athletic mentality. All right. In Brazil, when I lived in Brazil or Argentina, the players say it's every footballer's dream to play in Europe. That's the phrase. And the point of that phrase is because if you're an athlete, you want to go where the best of the best are, and you want to go compete. All right. The reason Miles Robinson didn't have the greatest offers in Europe compared to MLS is because here in MLS, he's created quite a value for himself, and more power to him. But in Europe, he's still an unknown. But Europe is where the best go. It's where the world's best players go. It's where you go turn yourself into an added value. Cliff Dempsey made $7 million a year here in the United States because he played in England, did stuff in England. Miles Robinson go to PSV, muscle his way in, earn his spot like an athlete, like a soccer player, that he should be curious about, by the way, if he can pull it off. He should look at the other center backs in the team playing in Europe and be like, I can do that too. And I should go do that. I want to go play with the best. That's the mentality I want as a default in our best players. And in my opinion, that's a good athletic mentality. Going back to the land, essentially with here in the U.S., it boils down to Landon versus Clint, right? Mentally polar opposites, right? Landon was this whiz kid that America finally had his first soccer star, and they just put him on TV, and they really exploited him, essentially. And Landon Donovan had a very soft mentality, which he admitted to in the interview. He refused to sit on the bench. He just wanted to play. So to him, he loved being a big fish in a small pond. And to me, that's not. We don't have to tolerate the type of mentality and that behavior anymore as our pool has gotten bigger. What we want Clints. We want Tim Howards is what we want. We want people going up, doing their best, climbing, being the best. Clint Dempsey was in some small town Texas. No one knew it. Drafted an obscure school in South Carolina. Furman, I think is a D1 school, but not one of the main D1 schools. Not where soccer is concerned. Then was drafted by the Revs, and then went off to Fulham and earned his spot. Every time a new coach came up, he earned his spot back. That's the mentality, and it creates what it creates is consistency, and this is the thing that transcends sports. Like same with like comedy and acting or anything or anybody. It's like, oh, you don't have to go to New York to be the best. It's not like you're better there. True, you're not better just because you're there. The community makes you better because it pushes you to your limits. It gets competitive, and you have to work a little harder, think a little more, and push yourself a little bit more. And for someone like a 26-year-old, star, American MLS star, which Miles Robinson is, he has an opportunity now to go to Europe and go get pushed and see what he's really made of. And it's only got to be now. In a couple of years, he'll be too old. He's got to do it now.
He's already too old. It's like
nowadays, I guess 26. I mean, he's 26. He's not too old. He's got prime years ahead of him. Why can't he go to Bochum for $100,000 a year? Who cares what the money is? Play week in, week out. Push Kevin Schlotterbeck back on the bench. Give yourself value, and then, get bought by a bigger club and get paid way more than $1.6 billion a year. There's a long game at play here. That's a
long game. These are professional athletes. They have very short careers. He can blow out his knee tomorrow, and it's all over.
The what ifs, or he can go. He's not challenging himself. He could go to PSV, win the Champions League, and then get signed to Chelsea for $1 million. That could happen if you said yes. That could, but now it's definitely not going to happen.
PSV is going to win the Champions League?
You're saying he could blow out his knee. Yeah, but he could also do the things I just said. It goes both ways. You got to follow the fear. You got to challenge yourself. But he's choosing to stay comfortable. He's choosing a natural gas surface. The checks are going to clear. It's $1.6 million, right? He's choosing to be comfortable. And just like how Landon, when he played here, Landon was good in bursts.
I guess this is where if you can't appreciate Landon Donovan for what he is, then I guess that's our disagreement right there. If you're saying, Landon Donovan's problem is that he's not more like Clint Dempsey, it's like,
that's not what I said. Landon Donovan is a good player and people love him, but he was inconsistent. He was never challenged and pushed to be an even more consistent player and to be an even better player than he should have been. He was touted as being this amazing player when he was a kid, and here in the States he was. But outside the States, he had no value. At Bayern München, he was a nobody. At Bayer Leverkusen, he was taken off on the 55th minute against Liverpool in the Champions League game, and he bitched and complained about it. He never wanted to play for them ever again. He whined and flew to LA to play for the LA Galaxy. What is that nonsense? That's why people call him Landy Cakes and Prima Donovan. We don't need – it's a mentality thing. I'm not sitting there and being like, oh, Miles Robinson, how could you? More power to him. But he made his choice. His choice was to stay safe, stay comfortable, big fish in a small pond. And when it comes to our national team trying to be better and win titles like a Copa America or push to a semis of the World Cup, there's no room for that mentality on the starting 11. There's no room. The entire roster has to be made of people who want to be the best. And playing in Europe, whatever it is, like
the best they can be.
Yeah, but what playing in Europe does with promotion, relegation, and all the pressure and is doesn't necessarily make you better, but it makes you more consistent, and that's very underrated. Like Landon Donovan was great in bursts, but then he'd go half a season where he was missing, and then he'd get himself ready for the Italy game, but they tied that game. If he was in Europe like Pulisic week in and week out pushing himself, he wouldn't have to get ready for that. That would be an expectation. That wouldn't be him punching above his weight. So Europe makes you punching above your weight. It turns you doing consistent expectation. And that's just naturally beneficial for our athletes. That's just what I wanted to say, is that Europe makes you consistent. I know you really criticize the Jimmy Sands role, the Rangers, and you're saying that the Scottish League is a downgrade for the most part from MLS. Yeah, but he has the Europa League. He has promotion relegation.
It's a different. I'm saying it's an individual thing. There's different strokes. Different strokes for different folks. It's not the same.
You got to try.
It's not one size fits all. Not everybody has to try. You have to do what's best for. You have to do what's best for yourself. I don't agree with a lot of your premises. There's you have a lot of hypotheticals about that. Yeah, maybe not. We don't know. I don't think PSV is like, it's not a top four. It's not a top four club. For most people, I think playing time is everything. Playing time's everything. If you sit on the bench, nobody gets better sitting on the bench. It's not like there's some kind of magic dust that they sprinkle on you just by osmosis. It's like if you don't play, it's a failure. It's like you see this everywhere on every level. It's like Cole Palmer was sitting on the bench at Man City with Pep Guardiola, best team on the planet, and he's like, no, I need to play. He went to Chelsea, now he's playing, he's doing very well. Is that always the right decision? No, who knows? But there are lots of considerations. The Jimmy Sands move I didn't like because he has a lot of defensive qualities that I don't think Rangers, as a club that basically plays against third-rate opposition every week, unless they play Celtic, I don't think they were gonna appreciate what he was bringing, and that turned out to be the case. Now he's a different example. He clearly really wanted to go, and so be it. I don't think, but then he that was not a success. They cut his loan short early. They sent him. They couldn't wait to get rid of him. And is he no better? I don't think so. I think he's fine. He's the same as he was when he left. Probably his confidence has taken a little hit. I don't know. It's hard to say. I just don't agree with this sort of mythical. First of all, most of Europe is not that much better than MLS. So it's really only, like, if you're saying PSV, yeah, obviously they're playing Europa League, they're playing Champions League. You're getting some experiences that you don't otherwise get if you're playing. Jimmy Sands came off the bench for that Europa League game in Dortmund. I'm sure that's unforgettable, but I don't know. Is that worth?
You don't think he's a better player because of his experiences in Europe?
I mean, I think, all of your life experiences have an impact and make you better, maybe. And some, do I recognize on the field now? I've watched a lot of Jimmy Sands over the years. I wouldn't say like, oh, he's better now than he ever was. No, it's the same.
Well, I got two.
I mean, the Colorado Rapids are looking to be we're going to see. That's going to be interesting to watch. They're looking to be the recipients for the Euro washouts. They have Stefan, Georgi Mihailovic, Sam Vines, right, is going there. I think. Is he? Is that new? I think I just read over the weekend. So they are becoming, and everybody's like, oh my God, all these guys are going to be so good. I'm like, okay, maybe we'll see. Georgi Mihailovic was pretty good, but is he going to be better now? I don't think so.
I don't see anything at Sam Vines going. Maybe it'll happen soon.
Is that not true? Did I make that up?
Well, just it's not official if it isn't. I like that though. I'm very curious what that'll. I'm loving the Colorado Rapids off season, and I wouldn't be surprised if they are a much better, more competitive team going deep in the playoffs this season. Just with the same set of MLS Americans they had. But one's got a year in Holland, one's got 2 years in Belgium, and the other's got a year with Man City. They all have some European experience with them. They've got some scars. They've got some track marks. And I think that's going to make them better leaders and make them more consistent in MLS. But anyway.
Okay, maybe.
It did start with Georgi Mihailovic. I was upset that he came home so early. Whatever. But I've got 2 bits of news that happened this past week. I'm curious on your thoughts.
Okay.
First and foremost, Brandon Vasquez was also linked with Gladbach. And he's 25. I would love to have seen.
It's another point. It's another point. Actually, well, sorry,
he didn't go to Gladbach. He went to Monterrey, signed, sealed, delivered. And Kate Cowell went to Chivas de Guadalajara. And these are 2 Mexican Americans. Mexico right now is doing a thing where they're targeting Mexican Americans and bringing them down. And 2 of our best are Brandon Vasquez and Kate Cowell. And they went to 2 of the biggest clubs in Mexico, Monterrey, with their beautiful stadium, and they've been winning titles, I believe, as of late. And Chivas de Guadalajara, traditionally the biggest club in Mexico, one of the biggest clubs in North America, definitely. And funny, because they definitely would never have played an American international in the past, but they've had to open up their laws as they need to get more competitive. So Mexican Americans are now on the list. Kate Cowell. Now, Kate Cowell is going from San Jose to Chivas. Brandon from Cincinnati to Monterrey. Now, I love those moves. You tell me how you think about those moves.
What?
Do you think they're bad moves? You tell me. What do you think about those moves?
Well, I don't know. Good or bad, time will tell. I'm not sure. I guess what the Brandon Vasquez thing specifically made me think of is that, there's also not that many good offers for MLS for MLS players in Europe. Like, this is also something that gets hyped a lot around MLS. It's like, oh, who's going? Thiago Almada. It was like, how many millions is Atlanta getting for? Or Brandon Vasquez is going to Gladbach. It's like there's not that much interest, and the reason is that these guys probably will not do all that well, in those environments. That's why, when Vasquez was linked with Gladbach, it was like, he was probably one of 8 options that they were looking at, and in the 5 whatever they were going to pay, $5 to $8 million transfer is like not a big. It's not a lot of money. I think that's also something to consider if you're like Jimmy Sands was just a loan deal. Rangers paid barely anything, and I think that also is an indicator in a way that if somebody, or like what you were saying, if PSV is only willing to pay 500 grand or whatever, a third of Cincinnati, I think those are also indicators for something. And I think
they have to
if you're not
value. That we have, Tata Martino talked about this in Mexico, where he's like, in Mexico, there's this huge market where one club spends $10 million on a player who no one in Europe's ever heard of. Like, they would have no value in Europe. MLS the same thing. I would hate to think we're inflating our value without, they have to go create their own value. No one knows who they are. They have to now go prove who they are and create their own value in Europe. Because you're right, MLS isn't up to par with the elite top flight leagues. And if you're doing well here, that's great, but that does not guarantee anything. The only guarantee, like, the better player you are, the better of a fit you are, the more consistent you are, the more applicable you are. And that's the whole point of going over there, is to proving that you're of that profile.
But
you
also
increase your value. You have to create your own value.
But you also then need some examples, right? You need people to be like, oh, we got this guy from MLS and he did well, like to have some kind of track record, and the track record is poor. That's what I'm saying. It's like lately.
Yeah, but the way to make it better is to keep doing it, keep going at it. You don't make it better by stopping it. MLS had this thing where they didn't sell any of their players. That was terrible, and it's why the national team didn't make the 2018 World Cup, in my opinion. And then they opened up, which is what they're supposed to do. And they're very, they're very, MLS is very competent when it comes to these dealings for the most part. They do the add-ons. I think I love how it's working. They get players down from South America as a middleman and do, like we had with the guy who went to Newcastle, Miguel Almiron, or Tati Castellanos is an example of that. Like, I love
wait. What are they an example of?
Of MLS shoving themselves in between South America and Europe. And being like, right, we'll grab them for a couple of years, add some add-ons so that when they sell to Europe, everybody wins. They win, we win, South America wins. I thought it's very savvy business dealings on MLS's part to get some good young.
But also not that many examples of that really working that well.
I mean, it is the way it is. I mean, not everything's in Argentina or Brazil, and plenty of Argentinians and Brazilians flame out. They're not all winners either.
That's true. I mean, but what
I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying stop doing it? Like, players should never leave MLS anymore? That's not how you fix that.
I'm saying everybody's different. I'm saying these are all individual cases for anyone. There's no one size fits all. I don't think going to Europe at all, no matter what, is the answer at all. I'm not saying staying no matter what is the answer either. Some people will stay, some people will go. It's like, I'm looking at Transfermarkt, the list of the biggest transfers out of MLS by dollar value. Number 1 is Miguel Almiron. That worked pretty well, I guess. He was
he still played for them over the weekend, right?
Yeah, he was 19. He was very young. I mean, I think the successful moves are generally younger players. Now, Almiron was 19 or 20 when he left. He's established himself in Newcastle. He's been up and down, took him a while, but yeah, he's doing well. John Duran is number 2. He went to Aston Villa. He's doing well. He's 19.
He's doing great.
Yeah, he's doing great. He's a young player. He's doing great. Ricardo Pepi went to Augsburg.
I love it.
What?
Yeah, but he did the same. He did the thing you did. Augsburg didn't work out. New language, more competitive. But then he freaking went to a small club in Holland, worked his way up, and now he's at PSV, the bigger of all 3 of his clubs. And he's playing against Luc de Jong, right, a legend, and he's earning his keep. He's week in, week out. The minutes he's getting, he's really using them, and it's increasing his consistency. Ricardo Pepi is as good as now as he's ever been. And it's because of his adventure in Europe and him really pushing himself. He's got the mentality I like. That's what I'm talking about. More Ricardo Pepi. Sorry. Continue.
All right. Tati Castellanos. There's Pity Martinez. He went to Saudi Arabia. That doesn't really.
Yeah, but Tati Castellanos is about to play Bayern München in the Champions League.
Tati Castellanos is playing for Lazio. He's struggling for playing time, but yeah, he is. He's a 24-year-old. He was 24, I think, when he left. So he's one of those players, and we'll see. I mean, he's struggling to make his way, but yeah, he made it. He had a loan in Girona that went very well. He scored.
How's Girona doing, by the way?
Yeah, Girona's doing much better without him.
Well, he was part of their growth.
Part of their okay.
He scored 4 goals against Real Madrid. He scored 4.
No, he did great, and he's now and hopefully he'll be all right. But he is. I'm saying these are the exceptions. There's so few of those tails. Thiago Almada, that was into Atlanta. That's not an outgoing transfer. Georgia Petrovic is doing great at Chelsea. Their main goalie is hurt, and he's been doing great there. He just left. He's 23.
New England did that twice. Remember, did that twice. Matt Turner first, then Georgia.
Matt Turner again, also struggling to keep his spot in Forest.
Yeah, but it's better that he's
what I'm saying is these are the success stories. This is like the handful of successful transfers, and there's not that many. Most of these guys are young players.
Yeah, but where you just read the top 5. Like, go find me some failure stories.
Some failure stories? Anybody? Jimmy Sands, Georgi Mihalovic, Sam Vines. It's like
yeah, they came back home. That's what we're here for. But it's cool that they went. You're saying the 3 of them should never
Brendan Aronson, maybe. I don't know. We don't know yet. We'll see.
My thing is all of them are doing it right. You go. If you fail, then yeah, you come home. But you gotta go. I don't like the Miles Robinson saying, I'm not going, I'm staying. I don't get that mentality. Charlie Davies, Mr. Hot Takes, mentioned that Miles Robinson signed a short contract so he can still go to Europe. Charlie Davies is convinced that Miles Robinson is still going to Europe. Where I'm just like, no. When he's not going to 26, why would he go at 28? Like, who, if anything, his numbers are down. Jimmy Conrad mentioned that after his World Cup, he was 29. It took him a while to get there. And that would have been when he could go to Europe, but he was too old. No one was looking for a 29-year-old. They're looking for young. And now the market is so different that, yeah, you're right. European clubs really want you when you're 18. They want you as young as they can.
No one's looking for Miles Robinson.
He could have made his way to a Darmstadt or something. George Bello, right? Arminia Bielefeld. How old was he? George Bello went to Arminia Bielefeld, was relegated twice in a row. So he's a good example of it not working well. But he's playing week in, week out. I believe he did make his way back to MLS, didn't he? George Bello? Let me look it up. But I would much rather have him done that. No, he plays for Lask Linz now in the Austrian Bundesliga. I still support that. I love the idea of going out there and trying it and doing it in your all. And yeah, if it doesn't work out, like with George Bello, after a year in Austria, nothing's happened, come back, man. You did your time, and I always think you're going to be a better player for it. I love the Cade Cowell going to Chivas and Bramas going to Monterrey. It's not Europe, but it is a step in the more competitive direction.
So wait, Liga MX is now better than MLS?
Always been better than MLS. Liga has never been worse than MLS ever. I don't know where you got that from.
But I mean, right now it's pretty even. It's pretty even.
No, what we learned, we talked about this. I think the elite Liga MX clubs are still better than any MLS club. The average MLS club is better than the smaller Liga MX clubs. That I do believe. And I think the Leagues Cup over the summer proved that.
So that means then the competition is generally worse if you're playing for a top team.
The pressure is higher.
You're usually playing.
No. We're talking 2 different things. I'm talking about team versus team. I'm talking about as an individual for Cade Cowell and Brandon Vasquez. I don't give a crap if any of the clubs win anything. I could care less about Chivas or Monterrey. I want Cade Cowell or Brandon Vasquez to be on the top of their game. And the way you do that is you go to a club like Chivas or Monterrey when those opportunities arise, right? The money is whatever, probably better. But the fans, the pressure is real. The press is real. You have to be promotion relegation. I believe they are reintroducing relegation. The pressure
There's
is
no
real.
promotion relegation in Liga MX.
It was suspended. I believe they're reintroducing it, but the pressure is real. If you don't perform, you get your ass benched, and you can't play. You have to be at your best to play, and teams like that expect titles and results. So right now, the eyes are on Brandon Vasquez and Kate Cowell to win scoring titles, assist titles, and league titles, or else they'll get flushed out. And that's the kind of pressure I love. They said yes to that. They're like, yes, I will go. I will do that. How good am I? What is my value? To me, that's the correct mentality of our best athletes. That's what they should have. What's the Olympics? Just people trying to do the best. The point of being an athlete is you want to be the best of what you're doing, right? Your knees are going to rot when you're 30, so do it now. And that's what they're doing. When your brother went to the Olympics, did he say, this will be a safe area for me and I'll never know if I'm as good as I'm going to be? This is a good place for me just to hang out, and I could care less if I'm the best field hockey player or not.
What?
When your brother competed at the Olympics, right? He wanted to be the best player he could be. He went and he competed.
Well, he was also, I mean, if you wanna get into that, I mean, this is like you're really reaching.
I'm talking about athletic mentality. I want to be the best, so I go and.
Well, he played on a team that was very good. He played on a team that was the best field hockey team in Germany, and that had a tradition of, and so he had an advantage, I think, in that sense.
Yeah, but they were only the best because he was on the team.
What?
You don't think he was a contributing member of them being the best while he was on that team?
Well, they were, they're one of the big, they're like the Bayern Munich of German field hockey. So he was part of and they were that before he when he was a kid. So it's like,
and he got
he grew up in that context of a very successful club.
So if they offered him the job, he's like, no, I'm okay. I'm going to stay
this is
here.
Also field hockey. There was no money. He didn't make any. I think he got like
I'm saying
he got a discount on a Volkswagen. I think he got some money. He got some money off on a car.
But what I'm saying is he could have stayed home. He didn't. He went to the big bad club to compete.
He stayed. Which was in his hometown. Exactly. 10 minutes from our house was where the club is, and that's why. I mean, I think you're undermining your argument. Actually.
I withdraw my argument.
But
how about this? If the best field hockey team in Germany was in
Hamburg, he did go to Hamburg.
Would he have gone to Hamburg?
He went to Hamburg would he have? No, the answer is unequivocally no. When he was a kid, he played field hockey because that was like the thing you did in my hometown because the team was there. I don't think it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be, like he went with what was he took advantage of an opportunity that he had, and he didn't try to create something out of nothing. What you're describing is you should just, whatever it takes. It's like, I think you do the best if you go with the opportunities as they present themselves to you. I don't think you can be asked, especially as a team player, to just sort of create something out of nothing. You have to go where you want it, and you have to go where people value you and where you fit in.
Yeah, and my addition to that is you create your own value and you make yourself easy to fit in by being the best you can be. Anyway, let's finish it here, but last thoughts. How do you feel about Brandon Vasquez and Kate Cowell going to Mexico?
Yeah, I feel fine. I don't care that much.
If they succeed there, do you think?
I think
they'll be more consistent and have.
I don't know. I don't know if Brendan. I don't know if. I think Kate Cowell is a little bit. I think they're two different. I think they're two different cases. I mean, I've been advocating looking at people as individuals, so I'm going to do that here. I think Brandon Vasquez had a great spot in Cincinnati, but I think he had ants in his pants. I think he has been talking about like it's time for him to go, and he is looking for a better for a different challenge. And I think he would have gone to Europe, and I don't think the offers that he hoped were coming quite materialized. So he's going to Mexico, which I guess is the next, I don't know. And I think time will tell how that works. Is that inherently to me like such a step up from Cincinnati? I don't think so necessarily. I think maybe everybody loses in this one because Cincinnati now has Cody Baird, right, from Houston. Like that's definitely a down. Like that, yeah. That's definitely a downgrade for them. And I don't know, Brandon Vasquez, maybe is it better for him or not? I don't know. This could be, time will tell. Kate Cowell, I think, does need a little bit of a different something. Like he seems like he's sort of underachieving. He's like this big talent. He seems very talented, but he hasn't gotten it together. So he I think is not fitting perfectly where he is. So he needs a change. And I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, the immense week in, week out pressure of the San Jose Earthquakes wasn't serving him. So
I mean, he
had to go somewhere of equal pressure.
This I also don't agree with. That pressure is automatically better or greater, or like I think people are different and respond differently to that kind of thing. I think that doesn't count for anyone. But yeah, I think Kate Cowell is right to look for something else. Brendan Vasquez is a question mark for me. We'll see. Brendan Vasquez right now, he's a starter in Cincinnati. He's on the men's national team, on the bubble, I guess. And I don't know. He has more to lose than he thinks. That's what I think. We'll see how it turns out. But I think that's maybe. I don't know what the contract is. I don't know what Cincinnati offered him. I don't know what, those things are all important. But I don't know about, I'm not sure that that's a good move for him. We'll see.
We will see. That's insane. All right. If you have thoughts about this, comment below or send us an email. I want to hear. Tweet at us at the Schnitzel Boys Pod on Twitter. Tweet at us.
Well, your point of view is the prevailing sentiment. So
yeah, I want to hear. I don't know. I'm curious. I want to hear what everybody thinks. For me, it's just about the mentality. I understand everything you're saying. I know there's a different fit and circumstance. I know there's all this circumstantial stuff. I know they're human beings. I know they should use some a little more therapy. They're also young. I get all that.
More therapy,
but to me, it boils down.
That, like if you have,
but to me, it just boils down with the mentality. I want a competitor's athlete's mentality, and I don't. It just rubs me the wrong way. Where it's like, I'll stay home. Yeah, I won't try to duke it out. I don't need to know if I'm the best I can be. I'm fine here, and I'm just like, all right, there's more power to you. But when it comes to being an athlete, to me, that is kind of rubs me the wrong way. Same with Landon Donovan talking about he never wanted to sit on the bench. He always wanted to play. It's like you got to prove yourself with your talent, bud. If you got talent, you can prove yourself.
That's a pretty wise. I think that's a pretty wise attitude to have as a player. I think. I think playing time is everything.
No, but he was benched for a week, and then he went back to LA. You give another week, would you?
Maybe, perhaps he's on the other end. He's on the other end of the.
Earn your spot with your talent. Because win-win, you become better. Send us an email, tweet us, let us know what you think. Like where are you as part of this argument? It is an open argument. I think it is just opinion-based. It's very subjective. But tell us. Lessons visited.
Everybody should go to Europe. I'm going back. You've convinced me. I'm going back.
That was the Schnitzel Boys video on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. If you like that one, we've got a couple other ones right over here. And if you like that one, don't be afraid to subscribe, like, and ring that bell.
Yeah! It's the Schnitzel Boys. It's the Schnitzel Boys. It's the Schnitzel Boys.